Today's video is brought to you courtesy of a stream of consciousness. Forgive me if it's not cohesive, but anyway, shall we proceed? Partially also explains my little setup here, as we can see, very lo-fi DIY situation that I have going on. I'm almost halfway on my way to bed, but yeah, anyway, to the conversation. Today I would like to talk about the idea of self-expression and authentic self-expression at that. This came to me yesterday as I was having a discussion with a friend, and we spoke about how it is kind of difficult for people who are hyper aware of their surroundings or their environment to be not only optimistic of their environment around them, but to be, I guess, their true authentic selves, in the sense that, like, in order to kind of operate with all the knowledge of like the ills of the world and society, they almost feel like they're doing a disservice to like their selves. They feel like maybe they're selling out. So I guess an example of this could be someone who has vowed or sworn not to support unethical business practices or companies that have got weak policies that are by function of performative, endeavors to kind of attract more capital, profits, or whatever. Someone ending up working for the very things that they condemn because, well, there's simply no other alternative. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Yay. But yes, there's simply no other alternative for them, right? And they end up, quote unquote, selling out, even though they have no other option. And we were talking about this in relation to many things that we had observed. And it really gave me, I would say, some interesting food for thought, but I would get to that. I would like to start with a little bit of background. So today, after a very lackluster day and an uneventful night of much scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, I know, very healthy. I couldn't help but think, as stopping on a reel by, I don't remember who, but basically the content was an interview between Bo Burnham, and the interviewer was basically talking to him about his movie Eighth Grade. And he was basically speaking about the fact that he was saying he can understand why people are constantly attached to their phones and basically stuck in this sense of, like, false reality, because the world that has been created around them isn't one that is appealing, and attention functions as a currency, and in a place where everything is increasingly interconnected, and the only thing that you have, according to him, was infinity or oblivion, meaning the infinite access of information and knowledge on the internet, or absolutely nothing at all. You can understand why someone would feel anxious. You can understand why someone would feel overwhelmed, because um, the status quo is such that if you're not perceived online, it may feel like you do not exist. And it took me some time to think about that. It really, really, really sat with me when I had, it's one of those moments, like, deep in the uncontrolled binge of just like of reel after reel or TikTok or whatever. You stop in the moment and you're like, oh shit, like that was some real shit, like that was some food for thought. Let me actually just put this down and like process what I have just listened to. And it was in that I thought about authentic expression. I immediately left Instagram to go watch the full interview, and he talked about individuals such as myself right now. I know, very meta, self-referencing, who are taking videos or who try to express themselves or their personalities through the camera, through YouTube, and they speak about not only the issues that they go through the day to day, but just the observations of like life, and put them out there, because for a lot of people, the audience to listen does not exist. The audience to listen in their day to day lives does not exist. They're real life people. He spoke about the fact that people are not so much He said there's people like, and I guess this was in a pretty tongue-in-cheek way that he said like, the kids now would much rather prefer like, the physical torture of being like shoved in a locker or being given a swirly, because what they're facing now is basically a chronic issue of being ignored, just being absolutely not only ignored but not given the time of day by a constantly fast-paced society that prioritizes attention as a currency and incentivizes people to make themselves marketable, all while for the vast majority they feel extremely and what's the word, profoundly alone because of this like digital wall that exists. As much as communication existed to or exists to make the connections between individuals easier, it has felt like it has almost created this like wall. But I digress. Before I go into the complete analysis of this interview, I would like to illustrate that point on authenticity, on what the point of eighth grade was striving for. It's like basically the depiction of eighth grade, but I'm gonna focus specifically on authentic self expression. Um, no algorithm or no app, no website, no form of medium will be able to capture the entire facets of a particular individual's humanity. And I feel like this is something that not only a lot of people need to hear, it's something that I have also needed to hear for myself. The multifaceted nature of humanity does not gain or get enough appreciation, and this lends itself to a host of problems, mainly the idea of keeping up appearances. And so the conversation that I had yesterday with a friend of mine was on authenticity and what defines real authenticity and genuine self expression. I think about a quote that I had seen from one of the um, content creators who does philosophy content, Julian Philosophy. I'm not sure how to say his surname, but he was talking about a quote that I'm not sure the author, but that said that the true definition of youth or the true currency of youth is the ability to see the beauty in everything. And then I thought about this when I was having this conversation with a friend yesterday and then tied it back to basically these facets or like these identities. I also think about something that Tyler the Creator once said when he said that he is a multifaceted individual. So that can be taken literally in the sense that like not only does he produce music, but he does his clothing stuff, he does his festivals and just like, a lot of creative direction. But I then internalized the idea and said, yes, just as Tyler said that he is a multifaceted human being, so is everyone. So are the people I interact with on a daily day basis. The face that I see them present when I talk to them in class or when I meet them on the street or in the gym is one presentation of themselves that I am not genuinely able to depict. I mean, not genuinely able to discern, rather, their entire personality, their entire belief system, views, and just being, their existence. It is but a channel or avenue for me to gaze into a potential aspect of what they may value, but not definitive enough for me to determine absolute certainty. And this to me was something interesting because I think connected to that, as I was saying previously, the facets that we present on social media per se are very not only polished but very limiting for a person who is trying to be the most authentic version of themselves. Authenticity has been something that I think has become an obsession of mine. I have kind of almost ignorantly attributed it to solving all my problems. So once I get authenticity down, that's going to be what, fixes everything else. And maybe that's not the case, probably isn't, but it is really something that I'm really looking into and has made me think that individuals authenticity shines in their ability to be multifaceted. I have the personal belief that, um, like Julian said, the beauty of youth is basically, no, the measure of youth is basically being able to see the beauty in everything. That ties itself very well to that idea of authenticity. I would go a step further to say that youth and authenticity is the ability to not only see the beauty in everything, but be yourself, or be different versions of yourself, and allow them to exist in harmony in every situation. And I think that to me was a profound like understanding to kind of appreciate and see not only work in my life when I have kind of accepted multiple angles or facets of myself, and appreciated multiple things that may not necessarily be right up my alley immediately. I give the example, or I gave the example in this conversation with a friend about my hyperfixations, as I call them, perfumes. I was searching for a new cologne that I wanted to buy, and I had visited a store. I met this man who worked in the store, and I asked him, a few general questions. What are some good summer fragrances, good winter fragrances, yada yada yada. And he began to give me an entire lesson in, quite frankly, perfumery, and it intrigued me. And I did mention to him, what is your background, like, what you're so passionate about speaking about this. I really appreciate this. I would like to, learn more. And he spoke to me about his personal life, talking about how he learned fragrance. No, not learned fragrance. He learned chemical engineering, and then basically niched down into the department of chemical engineering that deals with perfumery and all the composition of like different notes and the olfactory system. And I found it really, really appealing. And I could never understand why that was so like appealing to me. And then I basically had the same moment, but when I was shopping for a brand new guitar. I spoke to the man who was basically selling different types of guitars, speaking to me about pickups and like, what each guitar is good for, and like what genre is good for what, rhythm circuits and all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed this kind of passion. And I was wondering why I got this like kind of like childlike excitement, or like ecstatic, joy from listening to these people speak about these experiences. And then I realized that it all existed within my ability to enjoy all these things as the same individual. As in, simply put, these different factors, or these different, like, things that may seem far off, like fragrance, like music, like politics, are all aspects or bits of myself that make this composition that forms me, this identity, Kavanga. And that to me was the real definition of authentic expression, and the highest form of self expression that I so desperately had been, craving, longing, or needing, or assuming that I was striving towards. I really thought about that, and really thought about how this dynamic plays itself in real life and how it plays itself online. And going back to Bo Burnham's video, I thought about how he spoke about the fact that being on the internet allows, or can have people feel like they are in their own like microcosm of celebrityhood, keeping up the experiences, and just like, posting a well curated and well refined, edited, airbrushed, or just like absolutely scrutinized version of yourself, which strips individuals from the nuances of their personality, the contradictions that may exist in their identity that really define or characterize authentic self expression. And that to me is something that has just resonated with me, because as I was about to, or as I was, yes, before recording this video, as I was scrolling through, I was stuck in a rut. I was feeling very much, I guess, stuck in one position, and thinking to myself, what is it about myself that is causing me to have such intense feelings or emotions about not only the content that I've just watched, but my presence online as a person. And I thought about it, and it kind of gave me the clarity that this was indeed a part of the problem. The mere fact that my multifaceted nature cannot be distilled into any number of finite pixels with any number of finite letters under caption to express the thoughts that are in here that I try to basically get out on this platform and other platforms through my writing, through my videos, and through my conversations with friends. And this to me was something that I think is not only common to me, but something that so many other people deal with. So, yeah, just some interesting food for thought. Yeah.